Welcome to the FeelsCast. I'm Adam.
I'm Steph.
And today's topic is romance anime.
As romantic as I can get.
To be more specific, we're talking about romance-centered anime, not just, like, romance in anime. Like, I'm not talking about my Naruto Hina ship here. We'll save the shipping podcast for another day. Trust me, that's going to be a double episode.
Like, coming soon to a podcast near you.
5 parts, all about shipping.
Most of them will be my yaoi ships.
Of course. But no, so today we're just talking about romance anime in general. I think good topic could start with the current big kind of romance anime that's popular. Ore Monogatari, or My Love Story.
Let's just make one thing clear. I don't watch a lot of romance despite me being a girl.
I watch a lot of romance. Not despite of, I just like fluffy romance stories.
Because you're a fluffy person.
Yay. So the current big romance show is My Love Story. A story about a kind of a big gorilla-like dude, a Gori-chan, as they're sometimes described.
Really?
Yeah,
I've never heard of that. That's hilarious.
It's the description for kind of like big muscular dude with short, like the short hair and the like tough face and sometimes big lips.
Sometimes big lips.
Yeah, and he's a big sweetheart who falls in love really easily, but every girl he's ever fallen in love with has instead fallen in love with his best friend, who is a classic, like, really handsome Bishonen guy. And he's been single his whole life, but he loves his best friend too. They're good bros. And his best friend has turned down every girl that's like asked him out to. So one day, while taking the train to school, he saves a girl from a train molester, and she falls in love with him. And the first kind of 3 episodes is all about how he thinks the girl he saved is in love with his best friend, and that his best friend has shown interest in the girl by just saying that she's nice, which is the most he's ever said about a girl, which is funny in its own right. So he's like, even though I'm in love with this girl, I'm going to do my best to get these two together, completely ignoring the fact that she's obviously in love with him. And it's this really cute show, and I call it kind of a quintessential romance anime, because it's not like a harem show, it's not like a what if they will, what if they won't. It's a show actually about a couple getting together, learning about each other, becoming closer, going on dates. It's a cute show, which is a lot different from a lot of other romance anime. They focus on harems, they focus on the what if will, the will they won't they story. A good example of that on the other end is Gekkan Shoujo Nozaki-kun, which you watched, right?
Yes, yeah. I loved that one because it was hilarious.
The show is about a...
But it ended in such a cock tease. You know it did.
Yeah, it did. The show is about a girl who likes a boy, you know. She was a girl, he was a boy. Any more obvious?
Like, it started very typical. Like,
yeah.
She's gonna give him, like, a confession right in the beginning. But right in the beginning, he, like, mistakes it for something else completely different.
Mm-hmm. He thinks she's asking for an autograph.
Because he's an author.
Yeah,
or a mangaka.
Yeah, of shoujo romance manga.
But he's, like, the most oblivious person to, like, romantic social cues in real life towards himself.
Yeah.
Which is so ironic, because he writes this stuff.
Which is what makes it so good. And he bases the characters around his friend, the characters he writes about around the people he knows in life, but usually with a twist. So, one of his best friends is this guy who always tries to act cool, but he gets really embarrassed easily because he can never actually pull it off. And he's like, yes, I'm the coolest, and then he gets embarrassed because he's like,
I can't believe I actually said this.
I can't believe I said something that lame. No one loves me. And he always wants attention.
But he's surprisingly popular.
Yeah, because he's a handsome guy. He's actually the basis for the main female role in the guy's manga. And basically everyone he knows is somehow in the manga, but through, like, a shoujo lens, and also usually reverse gendered.
Actually, yeah, it's true. Because I think the male protagonist is based off of the girl, right?
Yeah.
Kind of.
A little bit.
I can't remember her name.
Her design is... the design of the female character in the manga, though, in the character's manga, is actually based on her. Huh. From the first time they met.
Yeah. That's actually really interesting.
Yeah, it's a cute little part of the manga. But my favorite relationship in that is there's a girl who is very abrasive. She's
the
tough.
rude one.
She's rude. She like the basketball team asks her to help play with them and practice, so they learn what not to do.
They
she
use
hogs
her
the
as
ball
the
and
example
punches
of
people
what
in
not
fouls.
to do.
And she's a stereotypical shoujo male character in that she's rude and mean, but on the inside is kind of nice and like they're pretty, so it's okay that they're kind of an awful person. She has a male friend who she's kind of into. Like they play around with it in the manga a lot.
It's like kind of like pulling pigtails kind of thing.
Yeah,
that kind of dynamic.
She bullies him, and he's like, "No, I'm gonna like stand up for myself." And then it's like she's just like, "Oh, you're so cute. I'm taking you to the movies."
I love that they basically go on dates.
Yeah.
And he gets angry. He's like, "Why did you pay for my food? Why did you pay for my tickets? That's it. I'm gonna buy you things now." The dynamic is just so stupid.
I like a joke I heard once that he's going to be married to her with kids and not realize that they're a couple. Like, years down the line, like, why do we have so many kids? God, why are you going to work and I have to take care of them? Those two are kind of, what I say, like, our top tier, but also polarized examples of the romance genre. You know, they're not long, drawn-out stories. They're good romance stories that are, I want to say self-contained.
I think that'd be a good word for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're very short and brief, kind of to the point.
Yeah.
And you kind of get what's going on, but it's not like, they're not going to make a big deal of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I think it's nice that they leave it up to the viewers, like, to assume too.
Mm-hmm.
Just to see what's going on. I mean, like, it's good that they're pushing, like, towards this direction,
mm-hmm.
but they're also letting us kind of make our own inferences.
Yeah, it's modern shoujo is what I'd probably call it, as opposed to more classical shoujo manga or an anime, like say Marmalade Boy.
Oh God.
Yeah, Marmalade Boy is an interesting little show.
Interesting is like not even the word I'd use for it. Not even close to it.
It starts off with a girl. Her parents come home from vacation, happy, content. They're like, "Oh man, Hawaii was amazing. Here's all like presents and stuff. Also, we're getting a divorce." And she's like, "The fuck's going on?" And then they go to a dinner like that night. They go out for dinner, and they say, "Oh yeah, here's with another couple," and they bring her. "Oh yeah, here's these guys we're marrying." So on the vacation, they met another couple, and decided to basically do a wife swap, but literal and also like forever. So each couple decided to divorce and then marry the other one's partner. Yes.
Wait, prior to this, do they know each other?
It's revealed along the line of the story. Like, they don't tell us that in the beginning. But along the line, we find out that the couples were originally reversed, as in, like, A and B and C and D were originally A and C and B and D.
But then it ended up being A and B
and C and D. And they both had kids, and then they re-meet up during a vacation just by chance, like there was not planned or anything. And they're like, I'm still in love with you. I'm still in love with you.
So they just go back to A and C.
Yeah, and they all live in one big house together. So the other couple has a son, and that's the romance story between the daughter of the first couple and the son of the second couple. Because she sees him and he's like, "Oh my god, he's so handsome and I'm in love with him." And then they spend 1 billion episodes like faffing about. Because this show kind of had a... This is a very much a will they, won't they show. So it's like, something will happen, they'll get kind of closer, and then a boy will show up and will try to fall in love with the main female character, and a girl will show up and try to get the main male character to fall in love with her. And then, like, they have a thing, and then, like, 13 episodes later, they're like, "Yeah, we're not interested in you two, we're gonna be together." The main couple's gonna be together.
And that's Marmalade Boy.
Oh, no, it gets worse. I actually want to... So, they keep having to throw obstacles in between them getting together. And then they throw the final obstacle.
The final boss.
The final boss is the main character, Yu, who's the only name in the show I can remember for no reason. Is that he finds out that his mom or his dad might not be his father. And he suspects his new dad, which is the main female character's father, is his real father. So he thinks he is the main female character's stepsister. Or half-sister. Or half-brother. Yeah. And then they have a whole big thing in New York, like America, New York, where, like, I remember this really clearly because I thought this was fucked up as a kid. Like, she's hanging out with these two little kids that are, like, brother and sister, and they're, like, little, like, 5 and 6, and the little
I just want to point out the fact that you said this fucked you up as a kid.
I mean, I was, like, 12, 13, whatever.
That's...
Look, I saw worse anime at that age.
I'm sure you did, but Marmalade Boy is just Marmalade Boy.
Like, basically, through a conversation with the little kids, she decides, I don't care if I'm related to him. I'm going to marry you. Or the character you, and I'm gonna, like, I don't care if he's, like, my brother, technically. And then they confront their parents about it, and their parents laugh in their faces. Because it turns out it was a big misunderstanding. And that, his dad is his real dad. This is, I actually kind of noticed, watching old romance anime, kind of became the big, like, how they do romance anime. Not the incest bit.
Not the incest bit. Well, thank God for that.
No. But yeah, the whole, like, will they, won't they, introduce 2 new obstacles, they have to get past the obstacles, and then sometimes the obstacles get together. Which was kind of nice. Everyone ends up with somebody in the show. One girl marries her teacher. It became, like, the standard for shoujo anime. It's how they do it. It's how, person A and person B, they're going to end up. But here's person C and D to fuck it up for them. And, oh no, it's a temporary fuck up.
Well, that's not just with, like, romance anime. It's kind of with any show. They have to kind of introduce an obstacle, otherwise it's going to be boring.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously it's fiction, so they're going to have to do something to ruin, like, there has to be a foil to the protagonist.
Yeah, but
sometimes the foil will foil together. And they become foil babies.
The foil, though, is usually trying to hurt the person, though. And that's the other way that usually happens in romance anime. The third person is like, oh, I'm going to break these people up for my own intentions. With Marmalade Boy and anime like it wasn't... I mean, they had that storyline once or twice, or 4 times, but that wasn't usually the intention. It was usually, I'm earnestly in love with this person. Oh, I guess, instead of falling for me, you're gonna fall for him. Okay, he's your brother, Except not really. God, that show was terrible. I always wanted to make a love triangle chart for it, but there are so many characters.
It'll end up being like a web.
It will be a web of deceit.
A web of lies.
And dating men who are 20 years your senior.
But that's kind of like... It wasn't so unusual when that happened back then, though, because you've noticed, like, things like that happen, and it's kind of, like, not even... They don't really, like... What's the word I'm looking for? People don't really think twice about it, because the age thing wasn't, like, such of a squick.
Yeah.
As it is now, because now it's like, oh, yeah, that's kind of gross. Because this dude can totally be, like...
He was her father's age.
Yeah, that's squicky. I mean, like... It's a niche thing, I guess. Like, it's very specific to someone's tastes and kinks.
I mean, it hasn't gone away. The idea of dating your teacher and dating someone...
Yeah, like the whole forbidden romance thing.
It's a forbidden romance.
Like I said, that's a very specific, like, genre. It caters to a specific crowd. So it's not as incorporated to, like, I guess, more...
Everyday life.
Yeah, to, like, more, like, big names, anime or even just TV dramas or whatever.
Which is why showing up in Marmalade Boy is so strange. There's an anime about a guy who married a girl very much his younger, and he had to teach her then in high school. I think it's called My Wife is a High School Girl. I could be wrong. I didn't actually watch it because I have slightly better taste than that.
But like I said, like back
oh no, this is modern.
Though.
This is modern.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this came out within the past 5 years.
Oh well then. Because do you remember that TV show that was? It wasn't like Will and Grace. It was the other one. Something and Darma.
Darma and Greg.
Yeah, because Darma I think was like 10 years younger than Greg or whatever.
No, they were about the same age. They weren't that. They had an episode where they met as kids. I remember.
Well, in one of the episodes, he said something like, "Where were you when I was in college?" And she said, "I was 10."
That But there's... Alright, I don't want to get into the continuity problems of Darma and Greg.
Well, yeah, there's probably a lot, but I think, like, that happened first, and then, like, people kind of realized, well, that's kind of problematic, and that's when they kind of switched it up a little, but, like, from what I remember, she was, like, a lot younger than he was.
I mean, she was... I don't... Not to get into a full Darma and Greg talk here.
Well, I've only seen, like, 2 episodes, so it's not like I'm, like, the authority on Darma and Greg.
I watched a lot of it when I was younger.
Alright, so you probably know way more, but still... Look how excited we are.
Darma and Greg was about a free spirit and a guy who was very uptight marrying. So, her being younger, but also, when I say younger as in legal, like...
Well, she's legal now, obviously.
Like, once you're both past, like, 18 to 20, age stops really mattering as much. But my point stands, like, I can see them changing it, but, like, the idea was her being a free spirit and him being uptight. I don't think, like, they cared about ages that much. God damn, I know. He once, like, sprained his penis, and they had a whole episode about talking about it. And, like, I'm pretty sure it involved a feather and his urethra, but I can't be sure. No, never mind. Let's talk about something else.
Moving on from that.
Welcome to the Darma and Greg podcast. We're going to watch every episode of Darma and Greg and talk about it.
It's going to be a podcast 2 times a week. Look forward to that. Darma and Greg.
Anyway.
So I feel like I know why I've got turned off of romance anime so quickly. It's because of Fushigi Yugi.
Yeah.
Fushigi Yugi, aka Mysterious Play, is about... I don't even remember what it was about, honestly, because I've only, like, seen, like, 5 episodes, and I've read, like, 3 of the manga, and I was just like, this girl is so fucking stupid.
Is it wrong that I think I know what it's about?
It's kind of typical, too. Like, I feel like the plot is, like, very cliche, but it's also, like, 90s. It's by Yu Watase, and I don't typically like a lot of her stuff anyway. But it's going to be 2 high school girls. They're best friends, and somehow they get transported to another world. The best friend gets into the clutches of evil afterwards. But the main character, who is an absolute idiot, and you would want to strangle her every once in a while.
As you do.
And she's the one who gets with the other dudes, and I think they're based off the Zodiac.
It's either based off of Chinese mythology. It has a very Chinese inspired theme. So,
yeah, it's definitely Chinese mythology, so I think it's based off of the Chinese Zodiac. Mm-hmm. So I'm not 100% sure, because it has been since 8th grade.
Since you've seen anything involving it?
Yeah, because I've kind of just cut off all of my contact with Fushigi in general, and every time I see it, I'm just like, be gone!
Fuck you, Fushigi. I'm gonna kick you in your nuts.
I'm just like, I want to burn everything. But her best friend, she gets attacked, raped, and, like, demoralized, basically.
She didn't get raped?
She did.
Jeez.
It's, I don't know if they say it or anything. Say it already. But it was heavily implied, or something, I don't remember. Mm-hmm. But she gets... Shit happens to her. And it's really upsetting, and then, like, you kind of sympathize with her more than the main character. And the fact that they kind of make her out into this terrible, terrible human being after all of this shit happens to her.
Yeah, like, she goes through a dark path and all that because a lot of shit happened to her.
Yeah, and it's like, no wonder she kind of attached to the first person who was nice to her, even if he was kind of, like, you know, morally ambiguous, I guess. I'm not sure if he was good or evil. He's probably evil, because he's a
Gowry cosplayer. Gowry from Slayers.
I've never seen Slayers.
Right. But, I'm sorry the joke is wasted on you.
Yeah, I'm sorry too. I'm sure the people who are listening
who know a lot of 90s anime who are like 90 who know as many 90s anime as I do appreciate that joke.
Well, be sure to send Adam your kudos to appreciate his wonderfully put out 90s anime joke.
As an aside, the most Fushigi Yugi I've ever seen is from this old anime parody video called This Is Otakudom that uses a bunch of different anime, but Fushigi Yugi as its, like, main, as a story about a bunch of, like, an anime club going to Otakon. And it's the characters from Fushigi Yugi are the characters going to Otakon, and, like...
I think you've shown me this before.
Yeah, it's the best thing ever. It makes me happy.
The thing about Fushigi Yugi is, I like most of the characters, except for the main protagonist female lead and the main protagonist male lead, because they were both dislikable.
That is actually a decent problem with a lot of romance anime, that the main couple is... Like, I won't want to say deplorable, like, but they're just boring compared to the other characters.
They're very cliche a lot of the times. They go through a lot of, like, the same tropes that most, like, romance anime would go through. Like,
they're like, oh, would they or won't they, and all that other bullshit.
Or, like, the girl is, like, either super oblivious, and the guy is, like, kind of,
an asshole.
An asshole, yeah. And she goes for him anyway. And, whatever, it's just, I want to punch everything.
That's fair. That actually, it reminds, that dynamic of hating the main couple, but, like, the sub-stories and stuff, and the side characters, reminds me of a show called The Pet Girl of Sankuraso. This is a show that is terrible.
The name is already terrible enough, The Pet Girl.
Yeah, so, on paper, the show is about a dude who goes
on paper.
Like, this isn't what, like, this is how it was supposed to be set up, I think. It's about a guy who goes to a creative arts college, and or creative arts high school, actually, and he wants to make video games, I think, but he's forced to live in, like, the weird kids dorm, which is filled with, you know, crazy artist kids. There's a kid who programs that never leaves his room.
Crazy artist kids.
And only
It's good to know that we artists are all crazy.
No,
we are.
No, they show normal artist kids, and then there's the characters in the show. Like, there's a kid who never leaves his room and only talks to everyone through a program. Like, he has a program that he hacks into people's computers, downloads, so he can talk to them. The program has minor AI. There's a girl who hangs around the main character half naked all the time, but she's not a love interest at all, which is weird, whatever.
She's just eye candy, I guess.
There's a guy who sleeps with older women all the time and is a gigolo, and I'm not actually sure what his art thing is. I don't think they ever tell us. And if they do, I don't care. But anyway, a new student moves in after the main character does, and she's actually a famous painter, and she's kind of strange. Like, she needs someone to help her take care of her, so they force the main character to. And the story is about him, like, taking care of this girl, helping her around, making her used to Japan, and it's called The Pet Girl because she acts kind of like a cat sometimes. So she's like a cat, and he's like her owner. This show is actually about a creepy dude taking care of, quote unquote, an autistic girl and trying to have sex with her and treat her like an animal. Yeah, I hate this show. But that's the main couple. That's the main, like, we're supposed to want these two to end up together. The other characters actually have some decent stories. The guy who never leaves his room, he's all like, I hate humanity, and humans are stupid. And a kind of, like, forceful girl enters his life and kind of forces him to leave his room and be like, oh, see the world. And he's, like, super, not to use the term, but tsundere about it. And their whole coupling is actually really cute. And there's, like, I would watch a show about that. It's unfortunately attached to, hey, look at this guy trying to bang this autistic chick and let's laugh. Which is really fucked up.
That's a word I'd use.
That show has so many problems.
I hate when, like, they don't really go into the side characters, which is why, like, a lot of times I go back to reread the manga. Because a lot of times they will.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they would do it as, like, a bonus side. And it's like, it's there, and, like, it gives you a little bit, but it's not enough, you know? Because, like, I was like, you know, you can give me a 10-volume series about this couple alone, and I will totally read it. But with this dude and that chick, no. Just get rid of them completely. Like, do a Tommy Wiseau and just kill them off screen and never listen to, like, do a Peter on them.
That is actually a plus of Marmalade Boy. They really do explore the minor character relationships. Like, they make sure that, like, everyone is fully, like, I don't want to say happy at the end, but everyone has their story completed.
So there's, like, closure in Marmalade Boy. Which is nice. I like closure. A lot of anime these days don't really have that because a lot of times the manga isn't really finished.
Yeah,
so they really can't do, like, the whole full closure without... They have to leave it a little bit open,
just in case they get a second season.
Yeah.
Or because the manga is, like, that... The
or
arc isn't completed.
Yeah, or the manga goes a completely different direction.
Yeah.
Like Fullmetal Alchemist.
Yeah, a bit. I mean...
I will never not love Fullmetal Alchemist, but that's another podcast.
Again, that's the shipping podcast, where
No,
I ship Panda and Owl, but that's a side story.
Okay. Full Metal Alchemist podcast coming at you. It's a whole podcast full of Full Metal.
Of course.
There would never be enough time to talk about Full Metal.
You actually introduced me to a couple really good, like, romance manga.
I did?
Yes, you did. Alright, I will talk about them instead of you.
Because I'm like, wait. Like, what? Horimiya?
Yes. That's
Okay,
exactly what I was talking about.
Horimiya. Let's talk about Horimiya.
I'm like, segue? No.
Are you talking about Horimiya?
That wasn't forced at all. Yeah. Do you want to...
Well, Horimiya is about a guy and a girl. And the guy, his outward appearance is like, he's kind of like a bad boy persona. A punk, I guess. Yeah, because he's got the piercings, he's got the dark clothes, and the long hair. And I think it's just because he's shy. It's been a while since I've read it. And he's like super nice. So the plot starts off with him finding the female lead protagonist's little brother, and he was lost.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and he brings her home, and she sees him, and she's at first kind of like, wow, this guy... She's kind of taken aback by his appearance, and then like they start hanging out because she's supposed to be like this. I guess she's like the smart. She's smart.
Yeah,
and,
I think she's
like,
not student council president, but she's like the class rep.
She could be though. I think. Right?
Yeah, she could be.
I think she might be. I don't know. It's been a while since I've read like the manga because I've left off at like chapter 40ish.
So I have more knowledge than her in this. Great.
Yeah, I mean I do know about their kinks at the moment.
That was a weird chapter. Or 7. Anyway.
But they don't start off dating, though. They kind of... It progressed very nicely. I think it went at a really decent pace.
That was actually one of the things I wanted to bring up about it, that Horimiya's... the pace of the main couple is one of the best I've seen in romance manga and anime. And just because it progressed
very naturally. Yeah, like, you kind of, like, just... You're really there with it for the ride. There's another thing I'd like to mention though with Horimiya is the Horimiya that we know of right now with the name Horimiya is actually the second drawing of it. The first one was by someone else, and it was called I'll have to find out some other time, but it was their phone name, so it's like I forget what their names are. That's why I can't remember.
Yeah. Fair.
So it was that, and it was drawn kind of like for Komish, and not as clean and detailed. Like you can tell in the new one, it's drawn digitally. Yeah, basically.
That's how most manga are done nowadays.
Yeah, and it's a lot cleaner and crisper, and lines are better. And but the first drawing, it felt a lot more like a kickback towards 80s manga, I guess, because it was kind of like the squares were like not even with rulers, and the artwork didn't look like it was penned in. It looked like it was just pencils. It was cuter, but it was also like.
It wasn't a full romance.
Yeah, stylistically it wasn't very...
Yeah. No, I kind of dig, because Horimiya I kind of see as a throwback to 80s romance manga, at least in the beginning, where it's slight misunderstanding, it's like, oh, that's the slow burn, and then kind of builds into a more modern day romance manga, where, you know, we actually get to see the couple together and hanging out in, like, high school. It's not just like, oh, we're magically together now, and now we're married and kids 20 years later.
Yeah, and, like, the side pairings, too, are also very interesting.
Yeah, that's...
Because they're not really side pairings yet. There's kind of, like, it gives you more of a taste of what they might want to bring onto the story.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more anticipation, because you know Hori and Mia are together. So then this side plot is, like, kind of like, oh, yeah, this is going to keep me coming back, too, despite their growing relationship. Which is also very interesting.
I'd say it's a pretty good full romance manga. Like, it has bits and pieces from a lot of archetypes that make it work. Speaking of kind of classic romance manga, though, or romance anime and all that, you said you watched Chihaya Fruit, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Which we could technically talk about because it's a shoujo manga, but
it's not really romance.
Yeah, it's more about
because she's
sports.
in love with cards. Yeah,
it's more about
it's a trading card game / sports anime.
Well, it's about this collection of poems called The 100 Poets, which are 100 poems by 100 poets, and each one...
Like, most seasoned anime fans would actually recognize the game because, like, it gets played, but not at that intensity.
Yeah, it's a New Year's game. It's a matching game where you read the first half of the poem and you have to find the second half.
Yeah, like, they actually played it in Holics.
Yeah.
Because I remember this much, because we'll not talk about that.
Again, Clamp is another
podcast.
Clamp is you yelling at me for 20 minutes. So, they made an anime about the poems themselves, focusing on just a few of the really romantic poems. It's called Utakoi. It has a longer name, and I will read it out loud because it's very in Japanese.
It's very in Japanese.
It's...
The Nihon is strong in this one.
It's Chaoyaku.
I can't see it.
I'm going to bring my computer over instead of reading it from across the room. It's Chaoyaku Hyaku Nishioi.
Choyaku Hakunins.
There's a lot of letters there.
There's too many letters!
It's called Utakoi.
For short.
Yeah. They kind of use modern and slightly modern interpretations and modern retellings of the story, but all in medieval or classical Japan. And it's really interesting because these are like classic romance archetype stories of lost love, and like the first one they do is about a warrior and a poet who falls in love with the queen, and they have like a whole affair and they sleep together for a while. But then after a while, she has to like take on her queenly duties and actually be the person standing next to the king, and they see each other later. He writes this poem for her that has a hidden meaning only for her. It's really interesting because they're really... you can kind of tell those poems and the stories attached to them are what led to more modern-day romance anime and stuff.
Cool.
It's a good series. I actually really recommend it, and it has this really funky ending theme that's nice.
I like funky ending themes.
It's the best part of a show sometimes.
Sometimes. I only watch it like once or twice. Usually when I'm watching anime, most of the times I just skip through the intro and the ending.
You're so good at that.
I know.
It's also really nice because it shows married couples, which is something that doesn't happen in anime.
Yeah, there's not a lot of anime that start off with an established relationship.
Mm-hmm. And then keeps that established relationship at all.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
I can't even think of one.
Yeah, no, I mean, I probably could if I did research, but... Fuck research. But, like, one of the whole stories is about a guy who's like, my life has gotten busy and I can't spend time with my wife as much as I want to anymore. But she's still devoted to him and he's still devoted to her. And his poem is, like, how he wishes he could be with her and stuff. And it's a simple poem. It's really cool.
Now, I'm not a very poetry-inclined gal. But I would watch this anime.
It's a good-looking show. What do you think is, like, the weirdest romance anime you've seen, though? Like, or manga or anything. Just, the romance is, like, it's wrong.
Wow, I have to think about this. You should have thrown this at me, like, earlier. This will take me at least 10 minutes to think about.
I'll talk and I have one.
Alright, go ahead. Have at it.
It's called Dog X Scissors. It's about a bibliophile, a guy who he loves books, and that's the only thing in the world he actually loves. And his favorite author is writing this series that each one's based on the 7 Deadly Sins, and his favorite author's almost done, but they still have like 2 books left. And he's finished just reading the 5th book, and he's like, man, I can't wait for the final 2. And the cafe he's reading in gets robbed, and like there's this dude with a shotgun, and the dude's about to kill this girl, and the girl's not even paying attention. She's just writing something, like doing homework or whatever, and the main character jumps in front of the shotgun that the guy fires. Like, this is probably the nicest thing he's ever done in his life. But as he's dying, his last wish is to be able to read the final books of his favorite author. He wakes up as a dog, a wiener dog specifically, in a kennel. And he's just freaking the fuck out. He's like, fuck, I'm a wiener dog. The fuck? What's happening? And the only person who can hear him, that can actually, like, hear his thoughts and understand what he's saying when he barks, because he's a dog and no one else can, is the girl he saved, who turns out to be his favorite author. So now he gets to live in this fancy house and read all the books that she writes and all the books she has, and he's quite happy. Except the girl is a sadomasochist and likes to torture the dog with scissors. Not actually cutting into his skin, but usually just cutting his fur. It's not... And tying him up in bondage gear.
Sounds like the worst thing ever.
It's pretty terrible. She's in... As the series goes on, it's revealed that she's fallen in love with him.
Who is a dog right now.
Yeah, who is a dog, who is in a dog body, and she has fallen in love with him, partially because he probably saved her, and then because he's, like, someone who actually cares about her writing and stuff. But it's...
But he is a dog.
He's a dog. He's an actual puppy.
They will go nowhere.
I think the last episode of the series is her getting drunk or something, or having being sick, or she's in, like, this weird fantasy state where she's not seeing things right, and she has this whole fantasy where she marries the dog. They go on their honeymoon to Hawaii, and all the other characters of the series just keeps popping up.
Once again, he's a dog.
I watched Dog Get Scissors, man. It's fucked up.
I don't think I've ever... Well, considering I don't really watch or read a lot of romance.
No, because you were ruined by Fushigi.
Amongst many other things, but
yeah.
Let's not go into that. So I don't really think there's any, like, weird couples I've ever seen. And this is not including the yaois, because that's different. That's not really romance. That's kind of just...
Sex.
Yeah, that's just kind of two dudes wanting to bang. But there is this one.
Yeah.
And I'll just talk about this briefly, because you're talking about weird couples. I read this one where this guy, he was kind of homeless and he's starving. He finds a plant, smells really good, brings it home. Turns out the plant... So he starts, like, licking the plant, right?
What? Oh.
Because it's food, it's like food or whatever, and he's like, oh, it's tasty or whatever. Plant turns into the dude. The thing he's licking is his penis.
Of course. So it's
the end.
So it's a romance between a man and a plant man.
Yep. There's a lot of that in Yami, though, because there's this one where, because you were talking about the dog, which reminded me of another one.
Oh god, that shouldn't remind people of stuff.
So I forget what the basis of this actually was, but there is this dog, and I forget why he likes the dude so much, but he comes in with him, and one day, all of a sudden, he turns into a man. With ears and tail. And he doesn't understand what the sex is, but he totally wants it. And the other dude totally wants him, but he also realizes that he's a dog, but they have the sex anyway. And that's a yaoi, guys.
That is yaoi in a nut. Again, that is yaoi in, like,
described. Like, I have a lot of, like, grievances towards yaoi, but yet I can't stop reading it. It's like you and your cat anime.
It's the only place you can find man has sex with dog, but not dog. You know, because that's... Yeah. Jesus Christ, that's awful.
I've read a lot of really bad yaois. Oh, I regret everything. My life is good.
Alright, so before we go, any recommendations?
I would recommend My Little Monster because it's not your typical romance. We didn't talk about it on the show because I didn't really feel like it really needs to be talked. Because it's a very easygoing one.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's just girl meets boy, boy meets girl. Boy wasn't really in love with girl, but he claims that he loves her, so she gets confused, and then she falls in love with him, and then he kind of, like, tells her, I love you, but not in that way. So
and I want to bang you.
Yeah, he definitely wants to bang her. But anyway, she falls out of love with him, but then he kind of likes her, and it's just a mess. But I like it. It's very cute, and it's very cute.
Also, the only anime I've seen with a ska opening.
Oh, yeah.
The style of the opening is ska. I kind of really like it.
Watch it for the opening, at least. Alright, and you?
I always have a bunch. From this season alone, Ore Monogatari, or My Love Story, is adorable. The main character, again, is this big buff dude, works in a muscle bar, or a muscle cafe, which is a cafe for gay men who like other gay men who are big and muscly to get money for his girlfriend's birthday.
Cool.
This dude is amazing. One we didn't talk about that it's not perfect. It definitely has a lot of problems, but I feel like the good outweighs the bad. It has a really long title. The Kawaii Complex Guide to Manners and Hostile Behavior. As in hostels, like the places you live in. It's kind of okay. It's about a guy who always hangs around weird people. Like, he attracts them accidentally. So the place he lives in is a course filled with weird people.
Of
like,
course.
The guy he lives with is a masochist. Like, his roommate is a full-on masochist. But so is the girl he loves is also lives in the apartment complex. So it's like, oh, I like this girl, so I have to hang around all the weirdos. Gekkan Shoujo Nozaki-kun.
Oh yeah, that one's cute. That one's nice.
I actually recommend the manga. We get to see the main character Nozaki's his brother, who is really funny. Like,
he's adorable.
He's the best.
I need to start reading it because I've seen little clips of it and it's just hilarious. I like that she likes Nozaki because he's so
stoic and cool.
Yes.
The World is Still Beautiful is a fantasy anime about a woman she's kind of a princess who is has an arranged marriage with the king of a large nation, and it turns out the king is like this kid, like, I want to say boy, but he's probably like 14, and they have a very slow burning romance as they spend most of the show just learning about each other and like discovering their real personalities. It's a show that I feel like could pay off to a very good romance, but unfortunately is also about a girl having sex with a small child. She never actually has sex with him, I'm joking. But, like, their love is real. He is technically still illegal. There's actually... This is being turned into an anime next season. It's only a manga right now. Jutsu wa Watashi wa... I think. Yeah. If I'm reading it right. It's a manga about a guy who... He has trouble telling lies and hiding secrets. Like, he can't hold a secret for his life. He has no poker face. And then the girl he likes turns out to be a vampire. But not, like, sexy vampire. Like, country bumpkin vampire. It's hilarious. And he has to keep her secret in order for her to still go to high school with them.
Oh, no.
Because if she does... people find out...
Recipe for disaster already.
Yeah. And it has some harem elements, which are kind of boring, and it has some fan service stuff, like, thrown in, which it's, like, almost ignore-worthy. Like, it has no purpose being there. But the main romance, I think, is strong enough and cute enough that I like watching or like reading it. I look forward to the anime. Alright,
cool.
Yeah.
I guess that about wraps it up.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for listening to our podcast.
Yeah, this was the FeelsCast. I'm Adam.
And I'm Steffi.
And thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Peace and love.